Welcome to IT Emotion, where we make autonomous IT entertaining and informative. My name is Sanjog.
My name is Josh, and we're your hosts. Today we're going to be talking to Jo Peterson. She is the Vice President of Cloud and Security at Clarify 360, and we're going to be talking about the benefits of AIOps in the cloud.
So everybody give it up for Jo Peterson.
Hey, guys.
All right, so we're going to kick things off with a little game. And the way this game works is we're going to play you some sounds from the IT industry, and we're going to see if you can figure out what they are. All right, so son, play us the first sound.
Do I guess?
Yep.
Dot matrix printer.
It is a printer, so that is correct. Yes.
All right, very good. All right, second sound.
This one should be an easy one.
Oh, that's just a dial tone, DCMF tone.
That's right. All right. Got that one correct.
The real fun with that question is to ask, how fast did it negotiate the connection?
Oh, that was a 56K connection.
See, she knows.
She knows.
Real engineer. I love it.
How about this one?
That's the AT&T sound? I don't know.
That's the
right.
AT&T sound. Got that correct.
I should know that, but I don't.
It's the classic Nokia cell phone sound.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe that's a Windows startup?
Yep. Do you know which version of Windows?
Gosh, no.
Windows 95.
Oh, the fact that I remember it, man.
It's true. We'll give you credit. All right. And then the last one that we have for you. I'll do it again.
Nope.
The LG sound.
Yeah, it's the audio logo. It's
The
called.
audio logo. That's
Oh,
correct.
okay. That's a tricky one, guys.
Yeah, we saved the hardest for the last.
All right. Okay.
So,
You did pretty good, though, I will say.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
and major props for getting the connection speed. That's awesome. All right, so as we're kind of getting into things here, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? I know you served in the Air Force. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. That's true. So in my current role, my team and I work with end user clients across verticals to help them address their cloud and security needs. I did serve in the Air Force. I was a cryptologic language analyst, and in my role, I was responsible for identifying foreign communications with signals equipment. So it was intelligence work, and a large part of my training was electronics. And then I was able to apply my tech school courses to a degree in information systems. So some of my first roles were as pre-sales engineer for one of the large telcos.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely kind of see a clear path from that service you did into where you are today, and that's really fantastic.
Yeah.
And you've also been ranked a top 30 influencer on LinkedIn. You're one of the top 1,000 women in tech. Tell me a little bit about what that means to you.
It's such an honor to be ranked by LinkedIn, and there's so many smart women in tech, but we don't get to hear their voices enough, especially in areas like cloud and security. That's changing, and I'm sort of glad to be part of that conversation and that change.
Yeah, we're definitely glad to have you here and be talking to you.
It's quite an honor for a multitude of reasons. I think one of the things that I was curious about is how has that journey kind of like helped other folks? I'm sure that you've inspired many other people through some of the work that you've done. And how do you find just being able to have that voice and be able to speak on behalf? How has that provided value for future leaders and other women and influencers?
So I think that there's so many of us that can provide value. And about 12 years ago, I started and intentionally started an organization by the name of Cloud Girls. And at the time, it was about education. And what's happened over time is it has morphed into this community of wonderful women that do work to help raise money for STEAM, philanthropy efforts.
That's awesome.
We also provide an award to women that are rising in the cloud space annually, as well as trailblazers in the cloud space. So it's been this really nice journey.
It's a nonprofit organization, or is
It's
it
a nonprofit, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. It sounds like some really rewarding work. So what about today? What are you kind of interested in today?
I'm really interested in helping with clients in their journey, and it is a journey to the cloud. It's not a destination, it's iterative. And securing applications and workloads and helping them with that.
Sure. Yeah.
absolutely?
How is AIOps being integrated into cloud security?
Um, so I think that, let's take a minute if we can and talk about what I think about when I think about AI ops, because it's an evolving domain. So I think of AI ops as the marriage between machine learning, monitoring, and operations technology. And as the technology has matured, we've seen features like self-healing capabilities and built-in orchestration and automation. And that's things that folks that are more mature in their cloud journey are looking for as well. So there's this dovetailing effect that's occurring.
The next question is, why is AI ops the natural, inevitable next step in cloud ops evolution?
So what you're really dealing with is increased capabilities around orchestration and automation, and they're usually looked on favorably, but it's not just IT that wins here. If you look a little deeper, you find a couple of other things happening. You find better collaboration across teams, better productivity, and system performance benefits. So let's take a minute and talk about collaboration first. One of the benefits of AIOps that many don't see or understand is the fact that this technology enables collaboration and workflow not only within a team, but between IT groups, as well as in between other business units. So if you've got a database server, for example, that's about to fail, it's really important to quickly determine the root cause of the imminent failure and automate a fix. It's not enough to fix the server. You've got to be able to alert the business unit that the employees affected or employees are going to be affected by that, and they can stop entering data. So the database can be switched out or rebooted. In the old days, an ops teams would have waited for the failure, which meant waiting for kind of irate calls from the database users to report that something was wrong. And that cost everybody time, money, and nobody ends up liking IT.
It's stressful, really.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's about, getting ahead of the failures. It's about, finding the issues before they happen and being a lot more proactive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So since cloud adoption is often this kind of ongoing iterative process that you mentioned, and it occurs over time, how can AIOps help reduce the operational risks of that sort of continual adoption?
So AIOps makes your cloud footprint more autonomous, more proactive, more manageable. In terms of autonomy, organizations can minimize human operations and rule-based decisions. This sort of intelligence can reduce user impact caused by system issues. They can make better operation decisions. They can reduce maintenance cost. This happens in DevOps. For example, if you detect a defective build early to prevent it from rolling out to production, it can result in less significant customer impact. That's a real win.
Can you share with the listeners how they can benchmark their adoption of cloud and AIOps?
Sure. Customers are getting their first taste of AIOps in the form of observability. And some of the tech giants have built observability into their stacks. So you're seeing terms like full stack observability as part of the marketing pitch. And customers start to use products with observability baked in, and they're wanting more. So the key differentiator between observability and AIOps is what you do with the data. Observability is giving the client visibility into what's going on. With AIOps, IT pros take this next step in automating management. In this case, it's AI that's providing the helping hand. Multi-cloud is complex. So for shops where the core offering is built on cloud, AIOps is soon becoming not just a nice to have, but a must have. I read this recent VMware survey that found that among organizations that have adopted observability, 92% say it's necessary or very valuable.
Interesting. So it sounds like observability is really almost a prerequisite to AIOps.
it is becoming more of that because there's so many lines of code to deal with.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And how is AIOps being integrated into cloud security these days?
So there's really 6 ways that we're seeing AIOps being integrated into cloud security. We're seeing threat intelligence analysis, we're seeing security event management, endpoint and network behavior modeling, fraud detection, malware detection, data classification and monitoring. Those are the 6 things that are standing out.
Of those 6, what do you believe is the most concerning?
Well, I think that security event management is pretty concerning because it is so much data that is picked up from so many sources. How do you find what the problem in the noise, right? The needle in the haystack. And so what's happening is through things like AI, that data from an endpoint, for example, is being correlated into a SIEM. And that correlation and that back-end threat intelligence on the SIEM is helping to figure out, what the bad point in that noise is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess, in a lot of these things, right, when it comes to observability, it comes to AIOps, it really comes down to that identification of the key information and getting it in the hands of the right people. So we have been talking a lot about operations. I'd like to shift gears a little bit and talk about the development side of things. Is there any way like the development side of the house can benefit from these kind of technologies?
For sure. Organizations are looking to improve operational efficiency across departments. It's not just on the ops side of the house. According to 451 research, more than half of all DevOps professionals are using AI and ML. The percentage is going up. AI ops aids in the automation of whole development processes, and there is a greater focus on improving and building a scalable and reliable service rather than simply keeping it functional. One of the things that AI can help with, honestly, is workflow, is burnout, right? It can help get ahead of maybe emergencies and remediating those emergencies.
Yeah, it's a big part of sort of the DevOps story too, right? The whole idea of getting rid of the things that burn people out and getting into simpler, more reliable solutions that, you go from like weeks to deploy to minutes to deploy. And AI ops are a part of that story.
Do you have any stories of cost savings that have come from applying cloud and AI to testing?
Well, not exactly, but I do have a story about how AI can cut cloud costs. Will that work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, have you guys ever had the enjoyment of looking at a cloud provider invoice?
Yes. Yeah,
I can't
It's a
say
treat,
I've
right?
had pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no pleasure
It's
in
a
it, but I
treat.
have done it.
It's a treat. They outdo themselves.
Yeah.
So they're long, they're complex, they're difficult to understand. Each cloud provider tends to have its own billing metrics, and it makes it difficult to understand historic usage and confidently forecast future use of a service. And then, let's make it more complicated, multiple teams or departments might contribute to an invoice and share cloud services. So this makes it really tough to forecast usage as well as identify who's responsible for which cost, which department uses resources. You get the idea.
Yeah.
So cost allocation is not an easy task, especially on dynamic infrastructure like containers. And the use of multi-cloud makes it even more complicated. And most organizations use more than one provider. AI cost calculators can help organizations forecast their future cloud service cost. They help plan and manage cloud spend. They analyze factors that drive up cost, and they offer recommendations. And there's a number of tools on the market that do this. AI-powered cost prediction allows organizations to also optimize their cloud usage and select more effective services. So organizations can use cost predictions to monitor their usage and ensure that their spending is on track, and that's kind of important.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times looking at these cloud services billing models, it's kind of like they looked at the old telecom companies, right? Like the 1980s version of AT&T and said, we can do better. We can have a lot more categories. And so managing it gets hard. It's a sophisticated thing, and you can absolutely see where AI really can take off and help you better forecast, better figure out what your costs are going to be.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out the blurred lines between things at times too, especially as we're just trying to build it, and then we're just trying to. It's not an easy line to kind of cut, right?
Yeah,
so these AI calculators, I'm kind of curious. How are they accessible to folks to leverage?
They come as part of a software that does cloud optimization. So generally part of that.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting. Well, Jo, it's been a pleasure talking to you. If people want to learn more about you or your company, Clarify 360, what should they do?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always posting something about cloud or security.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Well,
so you got to be in the top 30.
Listeners, thank you so much for joining and listening to the amazing Jo Peterson. I hope you found value and you are able to use some of this as you go through your AIOps journey. Again, Jo, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. And we look forward to talking to you next time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being on.
Take care.
Take care.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, we'd really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. We're hosted on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and many other podcast platforms. We're adding new episodes on a regular cadence, and you can also access our podcast at sciencelogic.com/podcasts.